where this is pointing is where the mic is. Right there. Best.
Right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How do I look?
You look good. You colored your hair?
Yeah, I did. Well, it was darker, but it's fading, so it's pretty light now.
I don't know. I feel like some weird radio host.
Like Howard Stern.
And I feel like with the way the camera looks and everything with the zoom, it's like an 80s hair.
It does.
Without all the makeup, I could be like from Motley Crue or something.
Yeah. It's like swept to the side. I love it. That's cool.
Today on Navajo Tea Time, our special guest is Adrian Lerma. She is one of the co-founders of YKD Knowledge. I'm only using the acronym because I haven't yet mastered the pronunciation of her company. And she also works at Diné College for the past year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah, my 1-year anniversary was in May, so.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
So we're going to get to know more about her on a personal level and then try and see what motivates her, what are her aspirations and things like that. So let's get started. This is kind of a nerdy question, and I feel like all Harry Potter peeps talk about this all the time, but do you know what your Hogwarts house is?
This is the nerdiest question ever. I'm just kidding. So actually, I had to take a BuzzFeed quiz to answer this question because I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, and I never actually read the books or watched anything more than the first movie. So for that reason, I was kind of like caught off guard, but I wanted to participate and I wanted to honor your love of Harry Potter. So I'm game. Your love. I don't know why you're not wearing your robe right now, but
I'm out in the Muggle world. You're supposed to dress in Muggle clothing when you're in the Muggle world, not to draw attention to yourself.
Like way over my head. Okay, so I think it's a little bit before my time, that's like my old lady status. So the quiz was actually kind of difficult for me to get through because I'm not familiar with the language or the spells or the characters or any of that. So I had to Google certain terms like the Deathly Hollow. I don't know what the heck that is. I don't know what certain wands do or what mirrors, do, what they don't do, or why anyone would give you a howler. There's like questions like that. And I was like, what in the world? But the results were 37% Gryffindor, 30% Slytherin, 20% Ravenclaw, and 13% Hufflepuff. So yeah, you can interpret that however you'd like.
Well, like with most BuzzFeed quiz, I think you have to take them with a grain of salt. Mm-hmm. There is actually a Pottermore quiz, which is a website developed by J.K. Rowling.
Oh.
And it goes into a lot more detail, and she elaborates more on her world, and it's just a place for her to keep elaborating on her world. Mm-hmm. And there is an official Pottermore Harry Potter house sorting quiz where you can find your official Hogwarts house and, the wand and the core and, your Patronus and all those other nerdy things for Harry Potter heads.
Wow.
But that's creating an account and everything, but.
Oh my, yeah, I'm not going to go that far. But, okay, so the quiz stated, quote, like Harry Potter himself, your allegiances definitely lie with Gryffindor, but Slytherin may be a better fit for you than you'd originally think. Your passion for adventure, excitement, and new experiences means that Gryffindor is the perfect place for you. You are fiercely loyal to your closest friends, sometimes even to a fault. And the recklessness and optimism that comes with being a Gryffindor combined with the ambition of Slytherin will ensure that you go far in life. Your slight compatibility with Ravenclaw house hints at an appreciation for knowledge and wisdom, though they are not priorities for you. So, yeah, that's what it had said was.
It's sort of like reading a horoscope. You know, they tell you all the good, positive things that almost anyone can identify with.
Well, tell me something negative. Yeah.
Well, you know, like Gryffindors, if you think of like, try to think stereotypically, they're the jocks. So they're like very adventurous and, you know, loyal and brave, but they can also be really pig-headed. And you know, like you think of a jock, like, oh, they're athletic, they're strong, they do things, but they also bully, you know, and kind of close-minded and things like that.
Who are the preps?
Kind of, yeah, like the preps and
like who are the preps?
The preps. Who are
the goths? And who are the sexually active band geeks?
Hufflepuffs.
Funny.
That's a Mean Girls reference if you guys don't know.
I'm a Mean Girls nerd.
Like the Slytherin would probably be 50%, or Mean Girls, the plastics would probably be 50% Slytherin, 50% Gryffindor.
Oh, see,
that would be like,
I get it now. There's a light bulb. It's all bing.
So Slytherins in the stories, they get a very bad rap. And I feel like when you're a Slytherin outside of the Harry Potter world, you're always trying to defend your Slytherin self as being like, you know, the key word is ambitious. And I think the author views ambition a little negatively because of just how she classifies the house. But Ravenclaw is definitely more intelligence, and not just so much as like being book smart, but like constantly learning everything about everything. You know, like they love logic puzzles. They're very creative and artsy. So they would probably be the sexually active band geeks.
Just kidding.
You know, they're just always trying to expand and be open-minded.
Yeah.
Things. And then Hufflepuff is almost never mentioned, but they're very loyal to their friends and to the people that they're closest to. But they can also be very protective and defensive. Like, because their animal's a badger. And you don't think fluffy cuddliness is a badger, you know? There's that whole honey badger, don't give a you know?
That's me. That's my power animal.
Think of like a Hufflepuff, like they defend their own fiercely. And they're very like open-minded and accepting of others.
Cool. Well. Yeah, I'm kind of as far as being a book nerd, I've read all of the Lord of the Rings books, and you know, I've looked into that and read that and watched all the movies and tried to learn the languages. So that's where I'm kind of nerdy. But yeah, hobbits and dragons. That's my jam. Okay.
So what are your goals professionally? You know, what are your goals, personal and professional, in life?
My personal goals are to be the best mom, wife, and friend that I can be to those I love. I really do have a lot of love for adventure, for the arts, and my friends. So if I can build a life that merges all of those things together, I'll consider that a win. You know, that'd be a huge accomplishment for me. Right now, my goals are to create a harmonious life for my family. I put a lot of my energy into that, trying to like make our home life fun and peaceful, and you know, like Hojo 100%. But yeah, I do like take the time to try to learn how to cook really delicious food. I collect cookbooks. I enjoy decorating. I like to paint, and I'm a big fan of lighting and art. So a lot of my my friends in the art scene, they know that about me, and so we work together a lot to like either do projects together or, I'll commission them to do work for me. And so it's always really cool to have like personalized artwork. And I like to plan fun activities for our family that are like kid friendly, and it allows us to have like little mini adventures together. So that's kind of like my thing. And I do try to keep up with my friends as much as possible, but sometimes it doesn't work out because we're all kind of living separate, different, unique lives. And we can't hang out right now either. So that's kind of hard. But I do reach out to them over Facebook, or I'll try to get on a call with them or like text them during my lunch hour. And that way we can catch up. I recently reconnected with an old friend who's been recommending books for me to read. And so that's actually been really, really good for me. I think like because of this pandemic, it's kind of put a lot of things into perspective for me. And I think reaching out to people who I lost connections with has been kind of like, it's been, I don't want to say a priority, but it's been something that I've been wanting to, I'm putting energy into that. So yeah. As far as my professional goals, I don't really like to share those. Those are secret because I don't want to be one of those people that's like all talk, no action, So I try to like wait to reveal my moves until they actually happen. That way I can have not just a musing of what I'd like to accomplish, but actually like legitimately say, this is what I did. Here's proof of it. Check it out. You know what I mean? Here's the website. Here's the link. Here's the image. Or yeah. So that's kind of like my thing.
And what do you do professionally, like with YKD and at the college?
So my day job is I'm a development and alumni officer at the college. Which basically means that I'm a fundraiser and a promoter and a manager of like relationships with donors, alumni, and friends of the college. Since things have drastically changed, the style of fundraising that I've been doing had to shift dramatically to virtual fundraising. And I've been taking on a lot of duties regarding marketing and branding for the college. I haven't taken it over naturally, but I've just been assisting within my own office and helping some of my colleagues and also assisting some of our faculty who are unfamiliar with like some of the newer technology that we're using. So I've been helping in that way, just doing little tutorials, doing little mini trainings. And I think it's been really useful, especially to some of our older faculty who are really like not familiar with this style of virtual learning, but they do want to continue teaching because they really care about our students and they want to help move our people along by helping them get their degrees, get their education, elevate the people. So yeah, but I'm also a small business owner of a native-owned, women-owned business called Yoboka Knowledge Distribution. I am the ED. My husband is he's actually our development director. So he and I have this partnership, and we brainstormed this company a couple years ago, and we launched it a few years ago. So I oversee the function of the company, kind of like the captain of a ship. And the work I do is multifaceted. It involves marketing, branding, program development, and writing papers with the aim of publication to give Indigenous people a voice in the realm of academia. Our goal has always been to merge activism and academia. So we work a lot to uplift Native communities worldwide. That's our whole goal. Yeah.
That's cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been fun.
So like, what was your favorite subject in college or school or high school? What classes did you like doing the most?
So my favorite subject in high school was probably lunch hour. Just kidding. I was not at all studious in high school. Um, my favorite classes were art class and weightlifting. Those are my absolute favorite classes. And my favorite subject in college was feminist methodology, interpretation, and critique. As you know, and I think I've mentioned this before on Navajo Tea Time, but I'm a women and gender studies major.
I have to close the window.
Okay.
Driving by.
Okay, so I was a women's and gender studies major at NAU with the focus on environmental indigenous feminism. And I started on that path with the goal to work with indigenous women in any capacity, basically. I wanted to, and you know, when I started college, I had just lost my grandmother, and she was basically the matriarch of our family, you know. I wanted to do something that would have long-term impact. And seeing how a family can be upheld by one woman and then kind of fall and shatter when she's gone, it really did show the impact of that life and those teachings and her ability to bring people together and navigate through the world. So my whole focus has always been since then, you know, really uplifting women and girls. And when I went to NAU, I went in with that goal. I joined the School of Social and Behavioral Sciences, and I decided that, you know, my main thing was long-term impact, so I was going to do whatever I can to make that happen. There's a quote by Drew Faust. She was the president of Harvard University. She once said that we educate women because it's smart. We educate women because it changes the world. And that mirrors Nelson Mandela's statement that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And, you know, those statements are powerful. So my question has always been, though, you know, how do we educate and what do we educate about, you know? And the framing of knowledge and the context of information is so important. And that's something that we touch upon a lot with YKD, is how we frame information and how we disseminate information. So a lot of my training, my education has merged with my work, or it's revealed itself in my work with YKD. As I've gotten older, I've become increasingly aware of certain educational models that I think put women and girls at a disadvantage. So what I've been really targeting, I guess, over the past few years are like systems of oppression beyond the school system that often, I guess, hinder women's progress. And so what I would like to do is really move away from this idea of subservience and conformity in American society. You know, that's never really sit well with me. So I want to empower women. I want to empower girls so that they can thrive in their personal and their professional environments. I want to show girls how to become pillars of stability within their families and leaders in their communities. And I want to see women in positions of power, making important decisions, earning a living at a rate that they deserve, and being recognized for their ability and not just their appearance. That's like the long-term goal. So, yeah.
Your favorite class was what again?
My favorite class was lunchtime. No. I was doing anything that gave me freedom, basically. Freedom to be creative and freedom to exert my power. So I think that's why art and weightlifting were probably my favorite classes in high school. And then later, like I said, feminist methodology, interpretation, and critique.
So what's one of your absolute favorite movies?
I hate when people ask me this question. I like so many movies, but honestly, like one of my favorite movies of all time I guess in the past year, I can say that my favorite movie is The Godfather. I love that movie. So yeah. How about you? Just kidding.
It's not my turn yet. It's your turn.
I know.
What about your color? What's your favorite color?
Turquoise.
Specifically because you're Navajo and the turquoise?
No, I just think it's a beautiful, calming color. It actually like chills me out. And our company logo is actually turquoise too. So, yeah.
Okay, so if you had to pick fall, spring, winter, or summer?
Fall.
Fall.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Best weather ever. Mm-hmm.
So I know you said you don't like talking about things that you have planning, but can you speak about any upcoming projects that you're excited about?
Yes. So one upcoming project that I'm excited about is the launch of the Resilience Organization's PLACE program. PLACE is an acronym for People, Land, Arts, Culture, and Ecology. I sit on the board for this organization, and I'd like to encourage everyone to participate in their programming that they're rolling out this fall. You can follow them on Facebook, on social media at resilience.org or resilience.org. R-E-Z.
We'll have the links in the description below.
Yeah, ENCEORG.
And how long have you been working on this project? Like, how did it just come up because of COVID, or has it been like a couple of years planning?
Yeah, so I originally joined, okay, this is actually a really cool story. I'll make it quick. So back in 2014, like 2015, I met Warren Montoya, and he's the ED for Resonate, my bad, sorry. It's a company out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. He's like a super dope artist, a muralist. He did murals like at the Heard Museum. He's a really cool guy. And I had heard of him before, but I hadn't actually met him. And I was in Las Vegas for this conference called RES. It's an economic summit that's hosted every year, and I was out there with the organization that I was working with at the time, and I actually ran into him, and he didn't recognize me or know me, and he was busy, so he just kind of like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, all right, see ya, and he took off, and I was like, fine, that guy's all stuck up, but we reconnected like later in the year because I was at Change Labs, and I was running I was overseeing the sign making studio. And so I'm hanging out with my friends, and, the DJs play music, there's live art going. And he came up to me, and he was like, hey, I've been wanting to connect with you. I have this idea, and I want to throw it your way and see what you think. And I was like, okay, cool. So I heard him out, and he told me about this idea of resilience that he wanted to do. And at the time, it was just an event. And the way he explained it, it sounded super exciting, and I was like, yeah, this is something I would not mind being a part of, and he was like, yeah, if you want to get on board, I'm looking for people to help make this happen. And so I was like, yeah, I'm down, let's do it, let's talk. And so we stayed connected, we started talking, formed a team. I suggested people, he brought people in that he knew, we formed a team, and we launched Resilience, and it was originally the Resilience Indigenous Arts Experience, and it was hosted in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the National Hispanic Cultural Center for 2 years, and the event was dope. It was like bringing Indigenous artists together, filmmakers, fashion designers, arts and crafts experts, you know what I mean? There were musicians, like every element of art that you could imagine. We brought people together at this large event every year, and it was amazing. It was so fun. And I did that for 2 years as the marketing coordinator. So I assisted with their website. I assisted with getting the word out. We hosted fundraisers. It was really fun. And as time went on, he was like, I really want this to become bigger. I think it needs to be bigger. There's more that, we want to do and not just have an annual event. And so that's when the idea of the Resilience Organization was formed. And so myself and my husband were pulled into that team. And so we would go to Albuquerque every now and then and have these team meetings, and we started planning it out. And then a couple years ago, I had actually had, I had my son, and so I wasn't able to travel as much. And so I kind of stepped back from a lot of the planning. And I told him, I can't do it this year, but, in the future, please circle back around. I still want to be a part of this. And he was like, all right, cool, absolutely. So when the organization was launching and the PLACE program had been formed, he came back and he contacted me and was like, hey, I'm forming a board for the organization. I would really like you to sit on it. We have a really good working relationship, and you understand where we've come from and the journey that we've been on over the years. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Any way I can help, I'm down to do it. So I officially was accepted as a board member this year. And so we've been meeting. We meet every month, every few weeks, and we talk about where this organization is going to go. And so it's still relatively new, but they're rolling out this PLACE program this fall. So I'm really excited about it. And, we're rebranding everything and, again, utilizing all of the talent that we have access to in the Indigenous community. So it's really cool because, when we're hosting the event, we had people coming from all over the world, Pacific Islanders, people from the, south of the border, north of the border, from New Zealand, Maori. It was awesome. It was really cool to be a part of that and see it happen and see what's, to really showcase the best of Native America. That was the coolest thing ever. And it really does fall in line with my passion to do that. I really want to put our people out there telling the stories, with our own voices, and really setting the agenda and saying, this is who we are, this is what we're capable of, and letting people see for themselves that, our people are smart, intelligent, talented, and we have some really great ideas, and we understand community and unity and collaboration and all that good stuff. So, yeah. I know it's a lot. You're like, oh my God.
Well, like I said, this is the 4th meeting in a long line of meetings all day, but it's nice to hear about different things people are doing.
Yeah. I know it's, I think we get so bogged down by negative information and negative headlines. The only times Native people seem to make the headlines is when we're it always seems to be in a negative light. You know what I mean? There's always
it leads.
Yeah.
That's the newspaper motto.
So it sucks because then people don't get to see us. They see us protesting, they see us fighting, they see us trying to make changes within our society, and it's serious, but they don't really often get to see us being happy and shining brightly, you know what I mean? And just blowing people's minds, you know what I mean, with the possibilities. So yeah, I like to be a part of that too, you know what I mean? Yeah.
For sure. So are you in your dream job yet, or are you still searching for something that you can when you're doing it, you're yes, this is the dream, this is what I want to keep doing until I drop dead?
No.
Sorry, it's a really weird way to phrase it, but that's just.
I know. No, I don't have a dream job. You know what I mean? When I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, I thought I wanted to go to law school, and I did a lot of research of, talking to people who had gone to law school, and none of them were practicing. Some of them were saying, I am a recovering lawyer, or I'm a recovering attorney, that was a statement. Or, I would ask them, are you going to go back and practice? Because some of them held public office. And they're like, no, they pretty much just leveraged their degree to do something else. And so because it is so expensive and because of the demands on my life, I kind of feel maybe that wasn't the best thing for me to do. And when the pandemic hit, it like severely shifted my priorities. So I decided that maybe I don't want to do that. But the job I'm doing now, it's really been a big blessing to have this opportunity, and I don't take it lightly, you know. So I do my best at the job that is at hand. I do continue to nurture my business, even though it's difficult when you have a day job, you know, you're also trying to run a business on the side. But it's something I love to do. It's something I'm passionate about. And I like that with having my own business, I get to kind of, I'm in charge, so I can run things how I want, you know, and I have a lot of freedom and I can move at my own pace. So I like that. But yeah, I mean, I think when I look forward at what I want to do, I pretty much, honestly, I can only see the path forward that's kind of like immediately in front of me. So I know what steps I'm going to take next, but where it leads me, I don't know. You know, that's kind of been the story of my, I guess, my professional life, starting from, you know, college, is I wasn't seeking out these opportunities, but instead I prayed for opportunities. I prayed for doors to open up where I could be useful, where I could do something I love and be passionate about and work with people who I admire and who I can learn from. So I naturally gravitate to people who are smarter than me. I naturally gravitate toward people that are more talented and skilled than I am, because I hope to, you know, like, absorb all of that, you know what I mean? So walking in circles where, or walking in circles with people who I look up to has been a big part of my life, and a lot of doors have opened that way. And so I let it happen, you know, I'm not really trying to like steer the boat so much. And you know, I've had a mentor comment about that one, saying, you know, you're kind of like on a, the analogy he used was like, you're like on a river and you're kind of just flowing with the tides, and you're hitting the rapids and you're doing okay. But he was like, you eventually have to get inside the boat and steer it. You know what I mean? You can't just always go with the flow. At some point you got to take control. And so I started to do that in different ways, but I still think I leave enough room so that I'm not stifling, I guess, what the grand plan might be for my life. So I'm kind of, I keep myself, I guess, I keep the doors open, or I don't know, how do you say this? I keep myself relaxed enough, you know, not to get so trapped in a rigid mindset, or, yeah. Does that make sense?
Open enough to take the next door if it changes. You know, if a different door opens, you're ready to make that move.
Yeah, or if one shuts, I'm not like destroyed. You know, like I'm not like, I don't fall apart if I lose a job or if an opportunity is over. I don't ever want to be that person where I put so much into something so that when it ends, I too have ended. You know what I mean? You know how some people, they do that? Their work is pretty much their whole identity. And for me, I've always seen myself as a very multifaceted person. So I don't, like, to me, that's the idea of growing up. When I used to think of adults, that's what I thought of. Like, oh, an adult is someone who pretty much sells their soul and they cease to be fun or adventurous. You know what I mean? And I never wanted to be that kind of adult. Yeah.
So I guess maybe this leads in, I get, it's like, the question I had next is, are you where you thought you would end up, or on the path that you thought you would be on?
No, not at all. When I was younger, I had this idea of what I would do with my life, and my main focus was, you know, move out of my parents' house and travel and get away as far as I can, you know, have adventures and meet people. And I thought that I would be a beatnik. You know, I thought I would ride the rails, travel the world, write, have adventures. And that was my whole thing. You know, I was literally ready to pack a bag and jump on a train. And my mom cried her eyes out. She was like, what are you doing with your life? You know, like, what if you end up dead? What if you get kidnapped? And I was just like talking about, you know, like, I can fight, you know. But you know how mothers are. And I had this dream too of moving to New York City. My best friend and I, we had this plan. We were supposed to take this road trip after we graduated, and we were going to travel, you know, to the West Coast, go north, and then travel along the border, you know, up in the northern states, end up in New York City, then travel back down to like Florida, see New Orleans, go through Texas. You know, we had this plan. And our dream was to move to New York City together, see if we could make it, you know. And I always thought that I would be like, you know, working as a writer or be like a theater rat, because I still love theater. But that never happened. She got pregnant before she graduated, and she dropped out. And I no longer had a partner. You know, I had nobody who I really trusted to do something like that with. So it never happened. I've never been to New York City, and it's really sad. Yeah, and I've never really gone further east than, for the longest time, the furthest I went east was Wyoming, because I took a road trip to the Wind River Reservation. But, you know, this past year, for the first time ever, I actually traveled. I went to Florida. I got to see, you know, Miami Beach. I slept on the beach there, had a beautiful Cuban breakfast. And my husband and I flew down to Colombia, and that was amazing, you know. But up until very recently, like I said, I was kind of like just in this, like within like the Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, you know, Colorado, Nevada, California. That was like where I have been for the longest time. But you know, if you think about that life compared to this life, it's so different. Like, I never imagined that I would be working in, you know, I never thought I would be working in an office. You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't, you know, it wasn't a part of the plan. I never thought I would be wearing like professional clothing. I would have my own office. I would, you know, that wasn't at all a part of the plan. However, I think that some of us are given a path, you know, and we choose to walk on that path, or we choose to run away from it. And for me, I felt like, you know, I've embraced it. You know, I never imagined that I would be married with children. I never imagined that I'd be working for my community on the reservation. It wasn't something that I aspired to at all. But I feel like I was blessed. I feel like I was blessed by Creator, and I was put on this path that is truly meaningful. And I work very hard every day to honor those blessings. You know, I don't take it lightly, and I don't ever want it to appear that I'm ungrateful, because I am able to have a family. I'm able to feed my family, you know, and I'm able to do work that I'm proud of with people that I admire. So, yeah.
So right now we're in a pandemic, and like, how has COVID-19 thrown a wrench in your gears?
I mean, I think in the most profound way, it's put me in a place where I've had to like confront my own mortality. And I've had to have this conversation about what if, you know, and the fear that comes with that, and the fear of getting sick, and the fear of not being able to be or do the things that I do because I could be limited, you know, physically due to health problems. And that is really scary. And then to see, you know, seeing it get closer and closer every week, and to, you know, when the stories started coming in of like, oh, this person's sick, oh, this person passed away, it's hard, you know, it's hard to be optimistic. It's hard to be energetic. It's hard to be high functioning. And it's hard to be professional because, like, it genuinely hurts my heart, you know? I don't, I want it to stop, you know? I want it to pass. And I want my family to survive. You know, I want to get through this. But that's been the thing that's really like disrupted everything, you know, because there were, you know, plans made in my personal life and in my professional life that were drastically changed. And so it really did put me in a place where I had to like think fast, you know, come up with a plan, come up with a strategy. And that's been like at work and that's been at home. And so I feel like we're doing okay, but it's still really hard because there are family members of mine that have gotten sick and tested positive. And it's really hard for me to focus sometimes because I'm thinking about them and I'm worrying about them. And it just makes me feel so helpless. You know, like I can talk about all of my plans and all of the things I've done, but what does it mean if, you know, the clock is ticking down and time is running out? You know what I mean? That's what's scary. Like, and I mentioned this before about having an anxiety attack early in the pandemic. Like, that was real. I've never had anxiety in my life. And I know a lot of people who I know have it and they live with it, and I could never identify with them. And for the first time I had like hardcore anxiety attack and I was scared. And all I could think was like, I'm not ready to go yet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not ready to go. I have a lot to do. Like, I was put here for a reason. Like, I was like praying for the opportunity to fulfill whatever it is I'm meant to do, you know? And it was scary. And I'm really glad that my fears were not confirmed. But, you know, that's kind of how it's all mental. It's mental and it's emotional. It's like messing me up inside, you know? That's what it's really been. But you know, yeah, that's all I want to say about that. It's a lot. I know a lot of people are going through that.
It's like an endless loop. Like with the anxiety,
Yeah.
you get an idea in your head and you can't get it out, and it's just constantly rotating in your head. And like sometimes they don't even make sense of why you're thinking about it, and it's a thought that doesn't stop.
Yeah. I know one of my friends told me that he had to talk to his daughter. He had to have like the death talk with her, you know what I mean? And he said it sucked, you know? This is what you have to do if I get sick. This is what you have to do if your mom gets sick. This is where you're going to go, you know, and who you're going to live with. And it's so messed up, you know? And I've been like avoiding having that conversation with my kids. But I've had to make plans, you know, so have a contingency plan in place. But yeah, it sucks. I'm, you know, I pray that this thing ends sooner than later. But I also feel like it just started. So it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So our name is Navajo Tea Time. What is your favorite tea?
My favorite tea is, I got two favorite kinds of tea. My favorite tea to drink is peach tea with a lot of honey, super hot. The other kind of tea I like to consume is political tea. So like, did you hear about what Karen did today?
It's funny that her name is Karen. Talk about being put on a path that was specifically meant for you.
Oh my gosh, I know. But I mean, okay. I was like I was wondering, like, should we talk about that? Should that be a Navajo tea time topic? Like, what's a tea with Karen today? But yeah, there's like, that's my favorite.
Well, you know, there are conservative Navajos and natives out there. I've seen them. There are those who support Trump and don't like the idea of democratic socialism, although if you really want to get into the tea, the way the Navajo Nation is run is slightly socialistic, the way they provide a lot of free services, and you see those same people bashing wanting free services, also demanding it from the Navajo Nation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some tea that we can probably get into on a different video.
I know, that's probably the closest thing I'll get to gossip. Like, I pretty much have a strict gossip rule. Like, I'm not gonna, gossip about people behind their backs, but yeah, I'll laugh at a Karen meme.
So, what is one of the songs that would surprise people that you actually like? Like, even your closest friends, and they'd be like, "What, you like that song? Seriously?"
Oh God, it's so embarrassing. So a lot of people that know me, they know that I like punk rock, I like metal, rockabilly, oldies, native hip hop, outlaw country. But I also like other artists, like I don't know if you've heard Cigarettes After Sex or Nikki Lane, Molly Birch, First Aid Kit. That's what I've been listening to a lot lately. It's like super mellow, like really melodic. But I think people who know me are like, yeah, I could see her listening to that. However, I think some people would probably laugh or be embarrassed for me to know that I like the song Stuck With You by Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber. And I also like Girls Like You by Maroon 5 and Cardi B. Like, I love Cardi B. She's awesome. And All the Time by Bahamas. I listened to All the Time while I was writing, like during finals and stuff. That's like my jam. And I'll be like, it's really cool. It's really smooth. It's like, I've got all the time in the world, right? But like, you're on a deadline, It's like, no, you got like an hour. Quit listening to this song. That's my experience. Yeah.
Okay, so here's our final question, and I think it's something we talked about in like negatively and positively, but like, why did you move back to the reservation?
I mean, this is why we started Navajo Tea Time in the first place, remember? We wanted to have that conversation. Why did you move back, and why did others? And what are they doing now, And what has that experience been like? So I have like a super long story. I don't know if you want me to go into it, but I moved back to the res for a number of reasons. And the main reason was I had recently ended a 12-year relationship with the father of my two eldest children. And I needed some distance from him while working through the pro se legal representation process, which, for those who are familiar, know that you have to have permanent residency on the res to partake. So I moved back mainly for that purpose. And I moved back into my parents' house. They don't live there. My sister was actually living there, and she told me that well, when I told her what was going on in my life, she was like, you know what, I was thinking of moving anyway. I've been wanting to go back to school, and this is kind of a great opportunity, for me to actually follow through. So she vacated and I moved in. The kids and I moved in, and we basically just started our life on the res again. I enrolled them in school, and I was looking for work. And it was kind of like it was kind of like a shock being home after so many years, because I had lived away for many years. So we came back to the res and started up again. And in the years that followed, a lot happened, I married my husband. I inherited 4 bonus children. I gave birth to another son. I earned a Bachelor of Science degree from Northern Arizona University, and I started a business. And it was, those are some big things that happened when I got home, and that really contributed to my experience at home too, because when I first moved back, it was kind of like, oh man, we got to drive 80 hours just to go grocery shopping, or I just got so used to a certain kind of lifestyle, like going out for lunch with my friends, going out for coffee with my colleagues, or even sometimes going to happy hour. And that just wasn't an option anymore. Like none of my friends lived where I had moved. Happy hour just doesn't happen unless you want to go to Sonic, get a slushie. So it was just like totally different. And but I started to really reconnect with my family, which I thought was really, really needed. My husband and we had a traditional Navajo wedding. And during the process of planning that wedding, a lot of my family came together for it, which was like a freaking miracle, because my family, they're non-traditional. However, like my immediate family, and they were kind of like, we're never going to step into a hogan for a ceremony ever again. But for my wedding, they did. And that was like a game changer, that was a huge accomplishment. And so it was cool. We formed this really cool, like strong connection when we made that commitment, and we had a basket ceremony. And that really did change everything. It brought my family together in so many different ways. So that was kind of like a big reason why I think it was something that contributed to me being grounded on the res. But a part of that story that I think is important is in 2018, my husband was on sabbatical, and he was scouted by a university in Canada. And we were seriously considering, moving up north. And I was really apprehensive about uprooting the kids. Like I said, they were in a really good school and they were thriving, after, there was a period there where I think it was really hard for them. They were struggling, and it was showing in their schoolwork, it was showing in their health. And they had finally gotten to a place where they were thriving again. They were getting A's and B's, they were on the honor roll, they were getting awards, they were winning competitions. And to uproot them at that time was like, ooh, it was just like a really hard decision to make. But the pros would be, we would be on this new adventure together. And so we were seriously looking into it. We got our passports, we were looking into houses. And while arrangements were being made for us to fly out there for a visit, another opportunity presented itself. But this time, it was here on the Navajo Nation. And what that did was it forced us to really have to sit down and think about what our options were. And is this where we want to build a life together? Is this the place we want to be? And what would that look like? That was the whole thing. And so for that reason, we really had to take a pause and put our game theory hats on and weigh our options and map out our strategy. And so we did that. We went into our office, went to the whiteboard, we did a game tree, and we went through every possible scenario. And we decided, you know what? There are a lot of good reasons to stay home. One reason would be we'd have the whole family together. All of our children we would be close to. And we would also have the opportunity to serve the people, Dene, here on the Navajo Nation. And so we, after much, deliberation, and after moving our chess pieces around a little bit, the outcome was that we decided to stay here. And so we made like a legitimate commitments, and we decided that, you know, this is where we want to be. And I think that was one of the best decisions that we ever made, because, you know, we could have left and we could have built a life elsewhere, but what we gained by being here has just been so much greater, because it's connected us not just to our family, but also to the culture here, and to a lot of community members that have not only supported us in our endeavors, but they basically become family. And so for that reason, like, it's just, this has been the best decision ever. And it's been, even though we, you know, we did move to this different part of the Navajo Nation, that neither of us have any family out here, but it's been really good, because, you know, we found other family in a way, through clan relations, and just, you know, even through like the work that we're involved in. So there's something that I wanted to read, because I did a little write-up here, just because this is a story that I wanted to share. So let's see. I'm going to read it real quick, just so I don't like go off on a tangent. So a big part of our decision was this common but toxic thought process that many people subscribe to, that in order to be successful, happy, healthy, you have to leave the res. And we wanted to challenge that assumption and prove to our friends, family, and colleagues that a beautiful life can be built on the res, and that one can have a positive impact and shift the outcomes of genocide and systemic oppression of Native populations. That's something that we do with our work also, because, you know as well as I do, that people have those conversations. That's basically, at least that's the training that I was given when I was in high school. And it's even what people said to me when I graduated high school. They were like, go off, go climb the ladder, get out of here and don't come back. You know what I mean? Make something of yourself. It was never like, stay here and build. For some reason, some people believe that if you stay on the res, that you're somehow failing in life, or that you don't have what it takes to make it out there. And my husband and I both know that that's total BS. It's actually easier to make it out there than it is here. It doesn't matter like your level of education. Living out here is a challenge, but there's so much that you get back in return. And so that's something that we wanted to do. We're very, very deliberate about that. And so, personally, I wanted to show, what was possible. And I wanted to take back the narrative, not let anyone tell me what my life is going to amount to, and not let anyone tell me that, like, what my worth is. That is just, for me, I'm always the kind of person that's like, I want to shut it down. And so making this decision was something that was carefully thought out, and it was planned in a way. Every move that we've made since we've been home has been calculated. And I think that's kind of cool, because that's how a lot of Diné, like traditional Diné people think. That's the learning model. That's when you think about when you think about the model of thinking that falls in line with the life cycle, the way that we think and plan and carry things out, it's very meticulous, and we want it to be deliberate in that way, not just reacting to situations. You know what I mean? We want it to be proactive, because that's how you build a life. And we want it to be able to show that these values and teachings and ideas, they're not just pretty words, or they're not just something you say to sound like you know something or you're connected with culture. It's something you actually have to do, and it'll carry you far. And so we wanted to be able to model that and really take it seriously. And this is something that, like, my husband writes about. He wrote a whole book about it called Guided by the Mountains, and all of those teachings are in there. And so it was kind of like, okay, time to practice what you preach. Let's do it, you know? And so that's why we decided to stay. And, you know, when I talk about empowerment, this is empowerment. This is how I empower myself, rather than feeling like rather than getting overwhelmed by situations. I feel like action is the only way to get out of that mind loop. You know, even in this pandemic, I've noticed that if I'm at home, I'm sheltering in place, I'm social distancing, and I'm freaking out, that doesn't do me well. I have to do something. And so what I've been able to do is, you know, help out by doing supply runs for elders, to help with some of the charitable distributions, to help organize food distribution sites on the Navajo Nation, to send supplies to healers and Hatafi, you know. And I know I'm putting myself in danger every time I leave my home, but to me, that's worth it. That's me doing something to help save the life of another person. And also, I'm very careful doing it. However, I just feel like if I'm at home and afraid, that's not serving me as an individual. That's, if anything, it just makes me feel helpless and powerless and scared. So, you know, this is the only way I know how to move beyond the fear, is to empower myself and move to action. So another thing that I wrote is probably, I don't know. Okay, so let me just read it. This is something I said earlier when I was talking about resilience and a few other things, but, you know, I don't believe all that BS that people spout about Natives not having what it takes, not being smart enough, not being financially stable, not being educated enough, not being cultured enough, not having strong familiar bonds, not being blessed, or blessed AF. You know what I mean? That's the narrative that I want to challenge every day, because, you know, in mainstream society, that's how they view Native people. And I'm just like, no, you're wrong. You know, like, I know a lot of people who are hella smart, hella skilled, hella talented, hella blessed, and have strong families, but they're not making the news. You know what I mean? They're not the ones that are being showcased or highlighted. And they're humble. They're not out there saying, hey, look at me. You know what I mean? And so I think it's all of our responsibility to really push that negativity away. And, you know, I do that. I push it away every chance I get. I don't want it to touch me. I don't want it to infiltrate me. I don't ever want it to be something that comes out of my mouth either, or my children's mouth. I mean, I will punish them for that. So, you know, being able to see with my own eyes the best of what the Navajo Nation has to offer is something that I would like to talk about or write about or film, you know what I mean, as much as possible, and really put it out there. And I've been really blessed to have the opportunity to do that with Resilience, with the Native American Business Incubator Network, with Change Labs, and now with the College, you know, shifting these perceptions and really giving people a key to their own success, a key to their own opportunities. And while I've been here back home on the res, you know, I've met some very strong families. I shook hands with true matriarchs. I've seen young men exhibit those old warrior ways, you know what I mean? And I've met men that lead their families with heart and humor and compassion. And that's something that we all need in our lives. You know, we need that kind of leadership. And it's really good to be in a home or to be in an environment where you see that, where you see those people leading by example. And in ceremony, being able to have that connection is probably the most wonderful thing about having the job that I have right now. Is, you know, we have all these Hatafli that are also professors and teachers who don't just sing for the well-being of the students, staff, and faculty, but they also teach. they teach these songs and they teach these ceremonial ways in the Hogan here on campus. And now they're doing it over Zoom because of the pandemic, and that's freaking awesome. And I love to be like able to help make that happen. It's really cool. And you know, within the ceremonial experience, there's been some amazing things that I've witnessed myself. You know, being able to see healing happen, being able to listen to protection prayers and hear songs that literally chase evil away and extinguish it, to feel that shift happen, to see a person become well who was previously weighed down, you know, by these evil things, whether it's like depression, anxiety, or like literal spirits, you know what I mean, that are like attacking their soul. To be able to see that healing happen is powerful. And to be able to see in action and to know what true leadership looks like, that's been the blessing of a lifetime. You know what I mean? That's been something that I'm glad that I'm able to be alive to see, because when I was younger, I wasn't seeing a lot of that. You know, I was seeing a lot of destructive behavior. I was seeing a lot of ignorance. I was seeing a lot of infighting. Not just, I'm not just speaking about like in my home. I'm thinking about my community, you know, like my family was removed during the land dispute. And my mom and dad told me that there used to be fights every day at school between the Navajo and Hopi. They were like literally clashing and fighting every day. And people were uprooted and told to move. And my family was one of them, you know. They lost all their livestock, all their fields. Their home was torn down. And it sucks, you know, because now we just hear stories about like your grandfather used to have the most beautiful horses, you know, and your grandma had a flock this size, and we all had our own flocks, and we had orchards, and we had fields, you know, and they lived in a dirt floor, but still, you know, they had all of these. They had this lifestyle that I wish that we still had, and we don't have that anymore. And I'm working really hard to try to make that happen again. But, you know, we talked about home site lease issues. We talked about the loss of cultural knowledge. That's real, you know what I mean? When your family's uprooted like that, you lose more than just a homestead. You lose a lot of connections and teachings. And so being able to come here and be exposed to those ways again has been amazing. And I'm really, really grateful for it. And, you know, I hope that other people can see that not all is lost. And you know, I want them to see that there's still hope, and it's available to us right now, not just online, but, you know, when this pandemic passes, I hope they know that there are still a lot of knowledge holders that can teach them these skills. You know, there's a lot of people out there who have songs and prayers and teachings that really should be revitalized and continue to thrive and carry us. So yeah,
for sure. It's definitely a whole process to try and get back a lot of that knowledge and share it. Mm-hmm. But I think we're coming up on time now. You've been talking for about like an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. I'm scared. I like to do so much that I'm kind of like, I don't know, like my personal story is just like, I always get nervous about inviting people in, you know, saying like, this is who I am, and this is what I think, and this is what I believe. And, you know, like, I'm probably going to piss you off. You might not want to hear this, or you might think it's all BS, but like, I don't know, like, this is who I am, you know, this is my truth, and this is my life. And I don't know, I can't be any other way. I'm not going to say something that I don't believe, you know, and I'm not going to advocate for things that I don't myself practice. So, yeah. It's scary. I know it's
Well,
scary.
thanks for coming on to Navajo Tea Time and talking with me, Adrian. It was nice getting to know you and knowing more about what motivates you and excites you in your work and in personal life.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I've been running my mouth this whole time.